Good evening, and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity. I'm your host, the Reverend Dr. Jim Webb. I'm the author of the book, The Soul of Prosperity, as well as several other ebooks on prosperity, including Prosperity from A to Z, 30 P's to Prosperity, Create Your Self-Manifesting Vision Board, and Forgive Your Way to Prosperity. It's always a joy to be here. So every Sunday evening here on the New Thought Media Network, we explore different aspects of prosperity. We look at ways that we can enhance our prosperity consciousness, and we look at ways that we can remove the barriers to the prosperity that already exists. So we look at prosperity in a very broad way. We look at prosperity in terms of professional prosperity, where we look at Florence Scovel-Shinn when she said, "I have a wonderful job with wonderful pay. I provide a wonderful service in a wonderful way." We may look at relationship prosperity, where our outer relationships reflect our inner relationship with ourselves. So we cultivate an inner relationship of inner harmony, inner peace, and deep, loving self-acceptance. So we experience acceptance, harmony, and peace in our relationships. We may look at logistical prosperity, where our lives simply work easily, efficiently, and joyfully because inner conflict has been addressed. So these are just some of the dimensions of prosperity. We also, of course, look at support prosperity, where we can support ourselves as holy, beloved, deserving beings of God. And that support shows up in our world in many forms, including financial prosperity, a life that works easily and effortlessly with as much support for our endeavors as we need. So those are some of the things that we talk about. And tonight, we're going to talk about a pretty radical route to prosperity. And the radical route to prosperity we're going to look at tonight is the route of play. Play your way to prosperity. Because if you want radical results, sometimes it's time to take a radical view of what you can do. So tonight we're going to talk about play your way to prosperity. And we have a guest on the show who is a virtual guest, our muse, the Reverend Dr. Jane Batt. And so Reverend Jane Batt's first question is, it's pretty radical to suggest that play is of serious value. Why is play important? Well, play is important for a number of reasons. First of all, play creates a differing vibrational energy. Play creates the vibrational energy of joy. Play creates the vibrational energy of love. Play creates the vibrational energy of fun and ease, and it invites more of God's energy in. For example, A Course in Miracles lessons 103 and 104 say, God, being love, is happiness. Well, play is a gateway to happiness and a gateway to God. Now, in addition to that, play is important because it may create a reset, an energetic reset. And what do I mean by an energetic reset? Well, if your computer is ever malfunctioning, you often hit Control-Alt-Delete and you turn it off. You do a reset. And then all those programs that are malfunctioning, all those programs that are old and no longer working, those programs get corrected. Well, in our quest for prosperity, we may have been programmed for something other than prosperity. And we may need a reset in the same way that our computer needs a reset. to bring in new programming. And play creates what I call an energetic interruption that interrupts the current energy flow, if that energy flow isn't leading to your prosperity, and it then creates a new energy pattern, a new energy frequency. Now, the third reason that play is so important is subtle. Quite often, when we involve ourselves in manifestation, we have a bit of a forcing current. It may not be conscious to us, but on some level we think, I've got to do this, I've got to have this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to have this. And that forcing current actually thwarts or sabotages our prosperity quest. Because when we have that forcing current, it's saying, I don't have it, I don't have it, I don't have it, I don't have it. And when we're sending that vibration out to the universe is just an objective responder to our energy. And if we're sending out the vibration, I don't have it, then the universe responds by saying, you don't have it? Then you don't have it. So play breaks that old cycle and creates a new energy upon which our manifestation can ride. So I want to thank Reverend Bat for that question. And Reverend Jane Bat had another question following that as well. So what is the real value of play? And is it radical to suggest play is important? Yes, it's radical, and let me tell you why. It's radical because in our minds, in the Judeo-Christian consciousness, we have been conditioned to believe in all work and no play. Now, it's very important for us to understand the roots of this. This idea that we must work and work and work for our good is based on the false idea of sin and the fact that we have to work our way out of indentured servitude due to sin. So that got stuck in our minds, but that is misinformation, because we don't have to work our way out of sin due to guilt. A Course in Miracles says there is no sin. It has no consequence. You were created as the sinless beloved, and you can create a guiltless world. So this idea that we have to work and work and work is rooted in a false idea of sin. And therefore, we don't have to give so much weight to working. What if we were to give equal weight to playing? Which leads me to another reason why this is so radical. In our male-dominated society, we have believed that working and doing, the manual, male aspects of creation, are of utmost importance. And we have devalued the female aspects of creation, the waiting, the observing, the allowing. And what that leads to is an imbalance and a forcing current, as we talked about before. So play is a way to balance that male energy of working, 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 doing, doing, doing. And everything that is created must be created by a balance of the male and female energy. So that's why it's radical, but this is a reason that we can accept play as equally important to work. Now, Reverend Jane had another question as well. It's been underrated. Play has been underrated because of our emphasis on male energy. And Carlisa Coates had a comment as well. Carlisa Coates at 806 had a comment as well. Play is important because it reduces all my anxiety, depression, worry, and anger. Yes, absolutely. How can you be worried, angry, or depressed when you're laughing, giggling, playing? You can't. Robert Mueller, in one of his books, said, love and fear cannot occupy the same space. Anxiety, depression, worry, and anger are all outpicturings of fear. But when we play, we let love in, and the lightness of love gently sweeps away the debris of fear. So now we can understand more fully the value of play. So let's look at some ways that we can play. Carlisa Coates had some suggestions based on Reverend Jane's question. What are some ways we can play? Carlisa Coates had some suggestions early on. She mentioned taking a walk, exploring the environment, taking a drive. And those are absolutely wonderful. Why? Because they get you out of the environment that has you stuck. And this is important. Playing with the puppies, very important too. Getting out of an environment that has you stuck takes you out of the energy that has you stuck. It's like opening the windows to a breath of fresh air. Now, Carlisa's other suggestion, which is extremely powerful, is playing with the dogs. Why are animals so important? Not only do animals teach us how to love, and love is the energy upon which creation is based, and love is the energy upon which manifestation is based. But pets also teach us the importance of play. What do pets do? They eat, they love, they play. They do one other thing, but they do that when we take them outside for a walk. But what do animals do? They eat, they love, and they play. That tells us something because animals are so happy just eating, loving, and playing. What if a portion of our life that could make us happy was play? And what if that play and that happiness could bring in a new energetic vibration? That new energetic vibration of yes, that new energetic vibration of openness, that new energetic vibration of creativity. You would play to bring in the energetic vibration of allowing your good. So we're going to talk a lot more about this after the break. So I want you all to let us know that you're here and send in your questions and your comments as we talk about playing your way to prosperity here on the New Thought Media. And we're back here on the Miracle of Prosperity. And tonight, we're exploring play your way to prosperity. Why play is such an important component of our manifestation process. And we've got a number of virtual guests, muses who are asking questions, and we will address the questions that they ask. So Reverend Jane Batt at 811 said, Reverend Jim, when might we add play to our lives? And I would suggest that you add play into your life in the same way and at the same times that you add prayer, meditation, reflection, and release. For example, one of the things that I've been doing lately is including play as a part of my bedtime ritual. As many of you know, a certain person whose name shall remain nameless lest she interrupt this discussion, she tells me when it's time to go to bed. And what that tells me is that you've got an hour to play, to pray, to meditate, to clean your kitchen, and have your chamomile tea before going to bed. Now, play is an important part of that because it helps me to unwind. So I'll play a couple of games of free cell as part of that bedtime ritual. Or you may want to take a break during your day when you feel your stress level mounting and take time to play. So anytime you feel stress or anytime you can integrate it into your existing spiritual practice is a good time to play. Now, Reverend Jane had a very intriguing question just following that question. There's permission for kids to play, but stigma for adults. How do we dissolve this? Well, Franklin Cope at 8:14 answered that question for us. Franklin Cope, I wonder if you're from Pittsburgh and you are related to the sportscaster Myron Cope. But if not, well, you're welcome anyway, and we're glad you're here. Lest you become as a child, no kingdom of heaven for you. The Bible basically told us that just like the Stevie Wonder song, with a child's heart, with the awe of a child, with the openness of a child, and with the lack of cynicism, the lack of miseducation, the lack of painful experiences that create doubt and fear that a child might have, we can enter the kingdom of heaven. So yes, children have permission to play, but as adults, we have become indoctrinated into the consciousness of sin, guilt, and atonement. Meaning, as we started this program discussing, we've been conditioned to believe something sinful about us. We must work off our debt to God in order to atone for that sin. And so anything that doesn't work off our debt is equally sinful. So one of the ways that we can embrace play more is to realize that that inner child within you is still needing to be comforted, healed, to have permission to play, because the inner child may have been traumatized and may have lost a portion of its childhood. And thus, if the inner child has been traumatized, if the inner child has lost a portion of its childhood, that inner child has lost a portion of its creativity. That inner child has lost a portion of its ability to just imagine and create through its imagination the unlimited realm that it has always been tapped into. That inner child may still need to express in order to heal. And if you don't let that inner child play, that inner child will become a saboteur to your prosperity. So it is important to give this inner child permission not only to speak to you, to receive comfort from your higher self, to receive embrace and for you to hear its pain and lift from it its pain by showing the inner child the love of God that you have felt, that you have cultivated. But it's also important for you to let that child play so that that child's sense of wonder and that child's sense of unlimited possibilities can be your sense of unlimited possibilities. Because when you open yourself to unlimited possibilities, the world's unlimited possibilities open to you. So that's another reason why it's important to give our adults permission to play, because your child within you is waiting to play. And if you don't give it opportunities to speak, to play, to heal, it will become your saboteur instead of your muse in creating your prosperity. And we're back here on the Miracle of Prosperity on the New Thought Media Network. And today we're discussing play your way to prosperity. Why play is an important component in our creation and manifestation of our good. So at 8:13, Rosemarie Isabella had a very interesting comment, and I'd like for us to expound on that. Rose Isabella, at 8:13 p.m. had a wonderful comment. If it is our birthright to be in joy, then should it not follow that your work should follow your joy? Therein lies the peace. Absolutely. So our job, no matter what our job is, no matter whether our job is laying bricks or laying cement, no matter whether our job is teaching children or teaching adult children about God, no matter whether our job is doing something in an office, our real job is joy. And think about this for a moment, because it's along the lines of playing. If your real job is joy, because joy is the frequency that allows effortless manifestation, then ask yourself, how am I doing? How would I rate myself in doing my real job, which is joy? And how can I introduce play as a way to experience more joy? If you think of it in this way, that joy is your job and play is a gateway to joy, then it becomes easier for you to create a space in your life for more play and play your way to prosperity. Now, shortly after that, Reverend Jane Batt had another question. Can I play in groups? The answer is yes. And this brings to light one of my favorite books of all time. The book is called The New Games Book. I don't know if you can see it. It's called The New Games Book. It was put together by the Foundation for New Games. And back in the 80s in New York, my group of spiritual beings, we would play new games. And it was so joyful. These are all games that are lightly competitive in nature, but mostly games about team building. Get the book if you can find it still in print. I found one at an old bookshop. But if it's still in print, get the book. You'll find it to be fascinating because the games are so much fun. But you'll also find it to be fascinating because of all the hip hugger bell-bottom jeans and all the David Cassidy haircuts and that you'll see in all the pictures in the book. But the New Games Book was a book of games that adults could play that were not necessarily competitive, but were more cooperative. And they were also lots of fun. Imagine 50 different types of games of Twister on steroids. And that's what the New Games Book was all about. And as you know, one of the new missions of our chapel, my chapel, where I am the senior minister, the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel, is to be a community center where all can come together for a number of different ways to address the epidemic of loneliness. And one of the ways that we will do this is by having a new games day at the chapel, where we come together and we just do new games, where we have group play in that way. So yes, group play is very important. Get the book's New Games if you choose participate or organize in group games. Or you could just do a board game night. That's just as much fun. But play in group, and it can be ecstasy. I'll ask a question. Does anybody remember as a kid playing with your family, playing board games, just laughing and talking and playing Parcheesi and rolling the dice? Well, the feelings that you got, the feelings of comfort, the feelings of safety, the feelings of fun, the feelings of acceptance, They are still waiting for you to recapture them. So yes, play in groups. Now, Reverend Jane had another comment at 8:14 that we would like to address as well. At this historical point, is there extra pressure to remain serious? How do we negotiate with others' judgment? We negotiate with others' judgment by realizing that others' judgment means nothing. And this is a radical statement, but it is a radical statement because if you want radical results, it's time to do something radical in your life. So, why are others' judgments meaningless to us? Others' judgments are meaningless to us because others' judgments are based on their path, their point of view, their misinformation, and their lives. Others project their fears onto us. Others project their biases onto us. Others project their unmet needs onto us. And our task is to be aware of that dynamic and to not get wound up or bound up by that dynamic. We get wound up or bound up by that dynamic when there is a part of us that believes that the other is the source of love, as opposed to one of an infinite number of conduits for love. We may think, if I don't heed this person's judgments, they won't love me and I will feel unloved. If I don't listen to this person's judgments, then they won't respect me and I will feel unloved. The illusion in that is that we have made that person God. And this may seem like a radical statement, so let me explain. God is the source of all the love we need. God works through an infinite number of people, places, events, and circumstances to bring us the love that we need and desire as we allow it. Now we get it twisted when we think that this other person is the source of love. This other person is a conduit of love. And quite often, they are a conduit of conditional love. That is love based on the condition that if you do this, I'll love you. If you do that, I'll love you. If you heed my words, I'll love you. If you are in the same sand pit of fear that I'm in, then I'll love you. That's conditional love. But God's love is unconditional. God's love is full, complete. And when you open to receive and experience God's love regularly, then another person's conditional love has less power to change, alter, or manipulate you. And when that person has less power to change, alter, or manipulate you because you are no longer willing to contort yourself into something that you're not in order to get their loving attention, then you are more open to God's love through an infinite number of people, places, sources, events, and experiences. And so God's love is unconditional. And so it is important for you to continually cultivate a relationship with God's unconditional love and cultivate the light of God's unconditional love that God placed in you as your true essence. And as you do so, you are less vulnerable to attacks by others outside of you. You are less vulnerable to their criticisms or judgments of you because they have nothing that you want or need. And there's a lesson in A Course in Miracles. The world holds nothing that I want. It seems quite radical, but it addresses the idea that the world as we see it is based on a great deal of fear, the consciousness of sin, an energy of guilt, and the false idea that we have to work our way back into God's good graces and that we are apart from God. That world is a world of chaos. That world is a world of lack. That world is a world of struggle and conflict. And that world holds nothing that we want. So we cultivate an inner world of peace. We cultivate an inner world of grace. We cultivate an inner world of light. We cultivate an inner world of harmony. And as we cultivate this inner world, our outer world begins to reflect that world instead. And so the outer world has less sway over how we feel because we have cultivated and developed an experienced and an experiential relationship with God's unconditional love. We feel unconditionally loved. We feel unconditionally loving. We feel deserving of our good. And so we no longer allow ourselves to be swayed by the world or its judgments, for our inner world has become stronger in our consciousness than the effects of the outer world have become. There's a scripture: the God within you is greater than anything outside of you. So as we cultivate this inner world of love, peace, harmony, grace, healing, power, joy, and good through prayer, through meditation, through release work, through reflection, and through play, the world has less power over us to determine our happiness or our sadness, because we can play our way to prosperity. So that's how we no longer let the judgments of others sway us. Now, Deb Thomas has a comment at 8:23. Play and pray every day. This is her new idea of loving herself. Perhaps this is a part of the new energy of loving the inner child that is your divine responsibility. The answer to that question is absolute yes. And let me share with you what we mean by this. We are in a new energy. As some of you know that I channel a great deal, and some of you know that the guides who channel through me recently talked about how the the appointment of this new pope was not was an indication of a new energy of oneness. It was the result of the energy that we've already ushered in on the earth, an energy of oneness, an energy of joy, an energy of openness, an energy of everyone is my brother, an energy of more endless possibilities. And the appointment of this new pope was simply an outpicturing of this. Why is this important? Because this is indicative of what the masters who I channel have been teaching us for decades. And that is, the light has already prevailed. Just like A Course in Miracles Lesson 75 says, the light has come, you can heal, and you are healed. At this point, you are all masters. So at this point, you have and can heal the inner child through play. And at this point, your healing your inner child through this play is an important gateway for more light to be anchored on the earth. The earth needs you to do just that. And in this new energy, your inner child can prosper and play in the environment of love that has been created on the earth. Almost like, if any of you remember that movie, The Wiz, there was the scene after the Wicked Witch was killed, where the flying monkeys turned human again. And they said, it's a new day, brand new day. Some of you may even remember that song. Well, It's a new day. It's a brand new day. The wicked witch of division, the wicked witch of suffering, the wicked witch of separation has been healed. You may not see it outside of you, but you feel it within you. And as you feel this new energy, your inner child has even more permission to come out and play. So your inner child can help you to play your way to prosperity. Thank you, Deb, for that comment. Now, right before that, Reverend Jane had a comment. Can we play with art, cooking, or enjoying others' cooking? Yes. The answer to this question is any way you play is okay. And you can use this as a mantra. Any way I choose to play is good, just, and okay. Any way I choose to play is good, just, and okay. Any way I choose to play is good, just, and okay. So you can play with food. Imagine, if you will, a ripe, juicy, sweet, succulent, tart mango piece in your mouth. And imagine the joy that your mouth feels as your taste buds take in the explosive energy of that mango. So just imagine that it just lights up your whole energy. That's play. Just imagine that dancing is play. Just so tell that lady who lives in your house, whose name we shall not mention, because otherwise she will interrupt your conversations, listen to what you're saying, and then everything you talked about will come up on Amazon.com. You know who I'm talking about, that lady. Tell that lady to play one of your favorite songs, dance around. That's play. Art. You don't have to be Picasso to play with art. Just put your hands in the colors, play with the clay, play with pottery, play. Any way you play is okay. Any way you play puts you into another realm energetically. It puts you into another dimension energetically. It connects you to another energetic vibration that is an energetic vibration of yes, of God, of love, and allowing. And this is the energetic vibration that is necessary for your manifestation. So play your way into prosperity, play your way into manifestation. So these are just some of the ways that we can play. As Carlisa Coates said earlier, walking your dog, walking in nature, dancing, singing, swimming. Play your way to prosperity. So that's what we wanted to discuss today in Play Your Way to Prosperity. Now, I know that that seems to be quite radical, but if you want to make radical changes in your outer world, it is important to make radical changes within. So that's what I'm up to these days, making radical changes. So I've got a new set of classes coming up: radical forgiveness, deservingness, and manifestation. Why? Because radical forgiveness, especially radical forgiveness of ourselves, resets us. It keeps us from being guilt-ridden, undeserving beings to being fully, wholly loved, lovable, innocent beings who deserve God's good. So radical forgiveness leads us into a radical sense of deservingness. I radically deserve, without condition, all of the good God has for me. And that radical deservingness allows radical manifestation. So if you want to radically manifest your good, radically forgive yourself and place yourself in a space of radical deservingness. So for the next 8 weeks, starting on June 2nd, on Mondays and Thursdays, from 7:30 to 9:30, The masters will help us to go into radical self-forgiveness, to develop and cultivate a sense of radical deservingness, where every part of us feels that we deserve God's good. And when every part of us deserves God's good, there is no part of us that blocks God's good. And then we can allow ourselves the radical manifestation of our heart's desires. This is an 8-week journey on Monday and Thursday nights. It will be mostly channeled with some time on Thursdays for discussion and review, but it's a powerful experience of Spirit guiding us from the hellish experience that we've known back into the kingdom of heaven. So I'd invite you all to take this journey with us. Radical forgiveness, deservingness, and manifestation. It's on Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you are, and you will get the recordings. So even if you have to miss a couple of sessions, you can still do it at your own time and experience the powerful energy, the powerful wisdom, the powerful healing, and the individual guidance of the masters who will guide you to radical forgiveness, radical deservingness, and radical manifestation. And if you can't make it at all, you can audit the class. You can get all of the recordings for just $100. You may not have the opportunity to interact and ask your personal questions, but you get the gist of what is being conveyed if you audit the course. So there are a number of ways to get in touch with me. The most efficient is just text me at 202-253-6009. The class is over 50% sold out, and it begins 3 weeks from now. So there is still time, but the classes do tend to sell out. So if you have an interest in this, call me, we'll discuss it. And it's better to do so sooner rather than later, before the class sells out. If you want to make radical changes in your life, then radical forgiveness, radical deservingness, and radical manifestation is for you. So that's what I wanted to share with you tonight. I want to thank you all, especially our lead virtual guest, Reverend Jane Batt, as well as others such as Carlisa Coates, and one of our newer guests, Mr. Cope. We're so glad you're here. So thank you all, and Deb Thomas and everyone else who's been with us, Rosa Isabella. Thank you all for being with us tonight here on the Miracle of Prosperity on the New Thought Media Network. Good night.